Hi, hello. Welcome. It is Monday. Welcome to Fireside Chat with Kimberly. Thank you to Fabulous, the sponsor for this week's talks. Prize packs for this month's contest have been graciously donated by Hodo Foods, Follow Your Heart, Cinnaholic, Revolution Gelato, Terra Seed, and Fabulous. As always, I invite my viewers to enter the monthly contest at virtualvegfest.com and click on the contest tab for details. Entering is super easy. Just by liking and or subscribing to our social media and Virtual Veg Fest YouTube channel, you're entered to win one of these amazing prize packs. So hello, how are you? Let me know if you're here. Let me know what's going on. It's Monday. And first, hey Susan, hi. Thanks for being here. Welcome, welcome. First thing I wanted to touch on is that I went to Cold Stone over the weekend and gave the silk almond milk ice cream a try. I did not get the signature because it was like bananas, peanut butter, and nuts or something. And that just, no. However, I did get peanut butter and chocolate syrup, and that was great. It was really good. The texture of the ice cream is just as you'd expect it to be, like really smooth and creamy. Hey Diane, thanks for being here. Welcome. It was smooth and creamy and chocolatey. Maybe it could have been a little more chocolatey, but there's definitely, as we expect at all of these places that are adding vegan options and are not a vegan establishment, there's always room for cross contamination. In the Cold Stone I was in, the silk almond milk ice cream is right in the middle, like not even on the end. If you've been inside a Cold Stone, you know that they have all of the tubs of ice cream like lined up in the case, and the silk almond milk one was kind of right in the middle of the front, so I had dairy ice cream on both sides. I didn't see the ice cream on either side. Was very, there was like a bright blue and then a strawberry one, so it would have been very obvious to see the ice cream on top of the silk one. So I didn't actually see any of the ice cream mixed in with the silk, but that's the risk we take, right, when we go to places like that. So keep that in mind. Maybe the Cold Stone that near you, if you're going to give that a try, will have the almond milk ice cream on one of the ends, so it's only butting up against, one dairy ice cream. Having it in the front though is smart because then in the second row, if they're pulling dairy ice cream over it, there's a chance stuff's going to fall in. But at least, they had it in the front, so nobody was scooping ice cream over. Just happen to have those two dairy cow-based ice creams on the side. So anyway, it was good. Um, I don't know how often I'll go there to get that. It was also $9. So I don't know. It was good, but not like, and look, I love me some ice cream, and I will go out for ice cream when it's 15 degrees outside, as proven this weekend. We had a big snowstorm on Saturday, went to get ice cream on Sunday. So anyway, that is my take on the new Cold Stone vegan ice cream. So do with that what you will. Um, if you've tried it, let me know in the comments what you think. Or if you won't try it, whatever. Let me know. What are your thoughts about that? Do you have any thoughts about that? Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't care. Uh, it doesn't seem to be creating quite the buzz that the KFC Beyond Chicken Nuggets have created. So, all right. Well, we can move on from that if no one's got anything to add, but feel free to put in the comments if you just haven't made it to there to let me know what you think about that. Okay. I also wanted to mention that I was lucky enough this weekend also to attend a virtual symposium called Plant Futures, but well, it was, what was the actual name of it? it was run by the group called Plant Futures, which I'm pretty sure was established out of UC Berkeley. So it's all like college students and new graduates or recent graduates that put this together, and it was amazing. These kids are so efficient. They kept to time. They were really respectful while still making sure that everyone got a chance to say what they needed or wanted to say, and everyone ended on time so that the next talk could start on time. And I was just so impressed overall. They had some very interesting, pardon me, they had some very interesting guests, people from like food tech, as well as, like Gene Bauer from Farm Sanctuary. He did a talk. Leah Garces from Mercy for Animals also did a talk. And I'm actually going to talk about her talk next week. There was a lot to say about that. There's a lot to say about many things, but I really want to focus on kind of what Mercy for Animals is doing and the focus she had of her talk. So we'll talk about that next week. I'm very excited to talk about that. Um, they had a panel of people who talked about food tech as far as seafood goes. So I was never a big seafood um, eater, and I hate calling it that. What else can we call it? Because to me, yeah, they live in the sea, but they're not food. So I don't want to call them seafood. See how important our words are? Uh, Fish, crustaceans, inhabitants of our oceans. We'll figure it out. Um, but they were three people talking about creating, plant-based tuna from kelp and from pea proteins, and so that was really cool. So if you are or were a fan of fish, crustaceans, things like that, when you were still eating animals, there are more things coming. I know that there are brands. Gardein has, I think, crab cakes, and there are some brands out there that already have uh, some fish substitutes. Um, but it seems like these companies are like really digging into how to make it not just have a fishy flavor, but also really mimic that texture. And I mean, we've seen how greatly the vegan foods have improved that way, right? The cheeses and the burgers and stuff like that. So I think it's incredible and inevitable, right? That we would also be, on our way to replacing um, fish in people's diets too. And I think that if what's the statistic, and if I'm wrong, like somebody definitely correct me, but I think it was like by 2040 or something, if we keep up the way that we've been, uh that humans have been, trawling the oceans and stuff, like we will have fishless oceans. Susan, thank you. Mind blown shrimp. Well, then if it's amazing, I think it is aptly named, huh? I think if I remember correctly, I think you had a post about that on your Instagram. So yeah, I'm gonna go back and look at that. Mind blown shrimp. Thank you. So cool. It's just amazing what we can do now. And not just, from like the to make like substitutes with like the pea proteins and stuff like that, but even from vegetables, what we can do to mimic the textures and the flavors that we're looking for. And it's just, we live in a really good time. So if you're not vegan yet, it's a really good time to go vegan because we already have so many amazing products, and there are just more coming. And there are companies that are investing, and it's just going to keep growing. So get on board, join us. We are more than welcome. Welcome, you're more than welcome. Come on in. Um, okay. Another thing I want to talk about all the things. I was so excited about this symposium. Um, So I got to keep checking my notes. Oh, that's amazing. Oh my gosh, don't you love that? This company was a seafood company for 3 generations, and then they went vegan. And, part of it, and you can take this however, some people are like, "It's not good," and others are like, "It's amazing." They're seeing the writing on the walls, right? That continuing to abuse animals and use them, for food and all of the things humans exploit animals for, it's just not sustainable. Oh, that's awesome too. Thanks, Susan. I love supporting, women, and it's just awesome. Good, yay. Um, they're seeing the writing on the walls, and it's just not sustainable to keep exploiting animals the way that we do. And from a profit perspective, it makes sense to look in a new direction and to look at what is happening in the vegan world and see if you can get on board for sure. And you know what? Maybe they'll sleep a little easier at night too, realizing that the suffering that they had been such a significant part of, like they don't have to be part of that suffering anymore. And honestly, that is hey Stephen, thank you. Thanks for joining. That's part of what I'm going to talk about next week with Leah, kind of revisiting Leah Garce's talk, where it's also I completely lost my train of thought there. Anyway, whatever it was I was going to say, I'll say next week. Sorry about that. It's Monday, forgive me. Um, One of the other speakers that really just was amazing is Tracy Mcwhorter. She Her website is by any greens necessary, and I'll share some links and stuff in the comments too towards the end of the show tonight. But Tracy has by any greens necessary, which I think is also the name of her first book, but also the 10 million Black vegan women movement. And so her plan is to help uh, 1 million Black women go vegan every year over the course of 10 years. So by the time 10 years is up, she has helped 10 million Black women go vegan. And she is incredible. And her website is full of tons of information. And you can, if you are a Black woman, you can join the 10 million vegan Black women group. But one of the things that she introduced me to, we've all heard the phrase food desert. And if you follow my blog, I talked about this in my blog yesterday. So this is a bit of a repeat. So sorry about that. But I've heard the phrase food desert for years now. And it's always about, like an area, a low income area, mostly non white residents. And they'll say, oh, it's just so bad. The people who live here have to eat so badly because they have no access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And it's just an unfortunate circumstance. And, they live in a food desert. And, I had never really thought much more about that phrase, food desert. And, we hear it all the time, like it's too expensive to truck food in and nobody will buy it. They're not going to buy, a $5 bunch of bananas from the bodega down the street. And so they're going to just buy things that are where they can get more food for, say, $5 for the banana instead of the bananas, right? But what Tracy explained is that food desert doesn't really capture what's happening because it does imply that it is just an unfortunate circumstance of nature. They just happen to live in the wrong spot and they just don't have access to this food. But that's actually not true. If you look at New York City, which is the city closest to me, there are food markets, all like farmers markets all over the place, and big ones. And New York State, there's tons of apples, like that's one of the things they're known for. So there is fresh fruit in New York City, but it just doesn't get to certain areas of New York City. And maybe the people who live there, it's too expensive to go from where they live to the section in New York City where that farmer's market is. So, what the appropriate term Tracy mentioned for us to use here is food apartheid, because that is very clear that it is not just an unfortunate circumstance, but that it is completely systemic and it is man-made. And it is so important that we use the right words so that we aren't implying that, oh, not only um, that we're not just saying like, oh, it's too bad that these people live in this area and they just don't have access to this. Because you know what? It's not too bad. It's not their fault. It's the way that our system is structured, and the way that certain areas are neglected and forgotten, and that the choice to spend, like I said, $5 on food that maybe will feed your family for a week or even a few days versus spending $5 on some vegetables that might last you 2 days. They have to make that choice. Thank you, Susan. Yeah, so if anyone hasn't seen They're Trying to Kill Us yet, please do. I don't think you can still buy it, but if you can, check that out. Thank you, Susan. So it was I definitely need to do more research. Like I said, it was not a new concept, because I think we've been hearing about food deserts for a while now, but I hadn't heard it put in this way. And it's important for those of us who don't live in those areas to understand what's happening there, because we are in a position to help make changes. We have to understand, like, the word privilege is thrown around a lot, especially in the last few years. And I hate to use it because it's become one of those words that like just makes people's eyes roll, but it's true. And all of us have different privileges depending on who we are, where we grew up, where we live now, the kind of work that we do, the people that we're closest with. It's a bunch of different things. But when we have the ability to look at something that's happening and get involved in a way that can enact change, can inspire and empower, we should do that. And I think it's very easy for people who, it's like the, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. If you don't live in an area where you are exposed to people who don't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables, it's very easy not to think about that. But as vegans, our whole thing is ending oppression and being kind and compassionate. And, Gene Bauer, when he was talking, he spoke about, it's not enough for vegans to just be compassionate and care about ending the oppression of animals. We have to understand that within the food industry that we are trying to change, that there's oppression of people too. People who work in slaughterhouses, people who pick lettuce. So even the food that's vegan, people can be negatively impacted. It's important for us to remember that the compassion has to extend to human animals as well as non-human animals. And when we start to look at all of the ways that our food industry impacts people, the animals, the environment, there's significant change to be made. But one of the most amazing things about attending this symposium was how much hope there is. And it is so easy to lose the hope. But there are these amazing like college students who are working on incredible things, and there are these companies that are making new products and working to be sustainable. And it's, they're not just looking at how do I make the next best vegan burger. They're looking at how do we make the next best vegan burger that's also sustainable, that is zero waste, where we're not impacting the world around us. We're not trucking the ingredients from one side of the world to the other in order to make this vegan burger. It's all connected, and it is important, so important to remember that. Diane, that is a really, really good point. And it was something that Tracy touched on in her talk as well. And I wish that I had better notes, because the way she explained it was that, the moving in of fast food restaurants to certain areas was completely intentional. And the reason why, excuse me, there are fast food restaurants on every corner in certain sections of New York City, and then fancy restaurants on every corner in other sections of New York City is 100% intentional. And certainly for another talk, because there's so much to be said there. But you are absolutely right, Diane. They're not making the food that is healthful and empowering and health promoting available to everyone, only to some of us. So, with that, there was one more thing. So I'll leave you kind of with this thought. Um, Nina, Nina, Nina Geilman, she was a PhD student there, I believe. She talked about kind of one of the questions that she said she asks herself is, what should I eat today? And she doesn't think about it from just like, I'm in the mood for oatmeal for breakfast. What will I eat today is a philosophical question. And it is even more meaningful when the question that you really should be asking yourself, so non vegans, who am I eating today? If who you are eating is how the question would be phrased, it's really time to think from a philosophical perspective. It's important from a vegan perspective too. Uh, when we think about, like I mentioned, the environment and the people who are impacted by the food industry, things like that. But I think it's even stronger from the perspective of someone who is not vegan, because that question, it's not a what. You're not eating a thing. Non-vegans are eating body parts of former sentient beings. So the question is, who am I eating today? And once you're vegan, you don't have to word it that way anymore. Okay, that's all I've got for you tonight. Thank you for hanging on. Thank you so much for being here, as always. I will include Tracy's website. Let me just put that in here. So if you're interested, you want to check her out. She's wonderful, very accessible. The way that she delivers, the way that she speaks, um, she's talking about some high level concepts, and you really can. You're just there with her. She's very open, and she's just lovely to listen to. It's not the first time I've seen her speak. Um, but every time it's just awesome. So please do check out Tracy's website. And all right, I will be back here next Monday. Like I said, we're going to talk about Leah Garces, and if I'm butchering her name, I'm very sorry. And I can't believe I even just said that phrase. It's just whoa. If I'm incorrectly pronouncing her name, I'm very sorry about that. But we are going to talk about her talk, uh, and Mercy for Animals and what they're doing from with their transformation program, as well as some focus on animal welfare in addition to animal rights. So that should be pretty interesting. I'm sure there are a lot of opinions on that. So, with that, as always, thank you. I am so honored to be here to do this work, to be here with you every Monday, having these conversations, and just sharing my vegan life with you. You can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Did You Bring the Hummus? You can send me a message there if there's a topic you'd like covered, or if you have a question, if you need help with something, please reach out to me. That's why I'm doing this, so I can be here for you. Have an amazing week. I'll see you next Monday. Bye.